cabbage and sausage. As often as she can, Nadezhda Kutepova buys Russian specialties to bring a taste of home into her new life in Paris. She's been living in exile for 6 months now. The French authorities assigned her family a very small room, way out in the suburbs and 2.5 hours from the children's school.
Here we have one room for 4 persons. Of course, we are very grateful because it's better than nothing. We have a bed, we have a heating, and yes, it's extremely difficult for us to be now here because you know that in Russia we had everything.
In Russia, Kutepova, who now enjoys international renown, was considered an enemy of the state. She never tired of reminding the world that thousands of people were exposed to massive radiation in a nuclear accident in 1957, long before the Chernobyl disaster. The incident occurred when a container of nuclear waste exploded in a power station in Mayak, where the Soviets manufactured plutonium for nuclear bombs. The effects were mostly swept under the rug, but Kutepova's family was directly affected.
This is Nadezhda Kozlova. This is my grandmother. She was mobilized by Communist Party to build a nuclear plant, Mayak. This is my father. He was a student of technical school, and he was mobilized by Komsomol to liquidate consequences of nuclear accident in 1957 at Mayak place.
Kutepova's grandmother and father died of cancer. According to scientists, it was the result of the accident. They were not the only victims. In Ozersk, the off-limit city in the Ural Mountains near the Mayak plant, cancer rates rose to extremely high levels, but no one was allowed to talk about it. After the dissolution of the Soviet Union, Kutepova sought compensation for affected families. She also publicized the scandal in the international media. The Russian authorities wanted to silence her. She was publicly accused of industrial espionage. The French office of the International League for Human Rights intervened and helped her leave Russia.
Unfortunately, there are several cases in which people like Kutepova have been physically attacked or even murdered for their work for human rights. And that's even more dangerous in a closed city like Ozersk, which is far away from Moscow and the international media.
But France's welcome was less than warm. Kutepova was suddenly one among the increasing numbers of asylum seekers. She too had to wait for months to even get an official appointment.
On some days, 3, 4 or 5,000 people come to our offices. There's no way to manage that. We lack funds and the political will. And that's just the way it is.
Nadezhda Kutepova's life in a cheap, out-of-the-way hotel doesn't make her feel safe in France. The Russian Secret Service has made life hard for many exiled critics of the government. Kutepova is certain she's under surveillance.
Recently, one person wrote me, and I think this person can work for the security system of Russian Federation. And now I think he tried to cooperate with me exactly for reason that they need information what I plan to do.
She doesn't feel welcome in France, but she's not willing to return to Russia, where she would be under threat.
People tell me that, Nadia, you should be happy because you left your nuclear hell and you're in Paris. But you know that the circumstances was not so that I felt happy. Of course, I miss my Ural, I miss my place, and sometimes tonight I saw it in my dreams because it was not my choice.
The European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg has just ruled in her favor and condemned Russia for refusing compensation to the Mayak victims. Kutepova remains a thorn in the side of the Russian state, even in exile.